Okay, so hey guys, welcome back to another predictions video, and in today's video I'm going to be predicting the Gib versus Slim fight. And so if you're new around here and you have not yet subscribed, please do so. Like the video if you do indeed like the video, and let's get straight into it. So this is of course another Misfits event. I have predicted every single Misfits event, not always right, but I've done a prediction video for every single one so far. This is X Series 19 now, so it's a progression, it's come a long way. It's great to see that it's another big card. I think Misfits been waiting for a big card. We haven't seen a big Misfits card in a while. The past 3 events, Brook versus Savage was a good fight, and Brook looked very good, but it wasn't a big card. Aaron's versus Simpson was meant to be a big card with KSI fighting Slim and Taylor on the same night, but then that didn't happen. And realistically, I think if KSI would have fought that fight, I don't think his head was in it enough to actually have gone on to win that fight. But that's just my opinion. And then before that was Temper versus Bruckner, which was not a big card either. So it's been a long time coming since we've seen Misfits have a big card. Obviously, it's out in Qatar. This one, it's a big showdown, and when you see a lot of these big boxing cards out in Saudi and the UAE and Qatar, it's nice to see that one's happening and Misfits is getting involved amongst that, and it's had a good build up. Like all Misfits card, I'm gonna go through the whole card, not just the main event, and we're going to start off with Anderson versus Neeraj. Just before I get into this as well, not all the predictions are going to be that in depth as what I normally do, what I normally offer from my kind of normal boxing predictions. But this is Misfits boxing. This is something a bit different. So it's a bit more of a relaxed prediction in my opinion for these type of fights. But they're all seemingly, good fights, and I think it's going to be an entertaining card, and it's a stacked card with probably one of the biggest cards in which we've seen from Misfits. But starting off with Anderson versus Neeraj, this is your typical pro fight. Realistically, I mean Anderson has that big backing from Misfits in being one of the Misfits pro fighters. I've seen that they've signed a few now. They had John Ingram. He went on to fight on a Wasserman card the other day, so I don't necessarily know what's going on with him. Anderson, Dylan Price, which is somebody who I've had the pleasure of interviewing and is a big name and is coming up well 16-0, and I'm not too sure what he's going to do with Misfits, but I have to wait and see. But yeah, like I say, this is a proper kind of professional boxing fight. It's an up and coming prospect against a journeyman type fighter, and I think Anderson's going to win comfortably. Neeraj is, like I say, just a journeyman type fighter. I believe his record is 6-6 or something like that. And Anderson came in with a good performance in his debut last time out on a Misfits show against another journeyman type opponent, but is going to progress well with Misfits. I'm not too sure what kind of route he can go down with them. I'm not too sure what they're doing with professional fighters. I'm not too sure if they're wanting to actually put them down a professional route and just manage them, or if they're wanting to bring more professional fighters over there so they have their own professional kind of division. Or like I say, I'm not too sure what they're doing, but it's interesting, and it seems like fighters are getting amongst it. I'm sure they're getting paid better than what they possibly would be if they were just fighting journeymen typically. So Anderson, I'm going to say, is going to win again comfortably. I'm only going to say by or via just for the main event. But going on next, Pineda versus Swarms. This is the original X Series 1 showdown in which, this fight definitely could have happened a while ago. It's good to see that it's finally happening. Swarms is, uh, they've both improved a lot, is what I'll say. Pineda's coming off good performances, to be honest. Swarms maybe not, they've not been terrible performances. I believe his last fight was the one in which he got knocked out by Ed Matthews. Sorry if I'm wrong by any of these, and I think Pineda's last fight might be against Ed Matthews as well. But nonetheless, Pineda's kind of explored everything. He's done a lot of different things with the tag team and multiple different fights, coming in as mystery opponents and things like that. So like I said, he's experienced lots of different things. Swarms has fought a lot of different guys as well. When you kind of name and look at the list of fights on this kind of card, I know I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here. A lot of the guys have fought other guys, like Swarms has fought Deji and, he's fought Deji. Of course, Cray Cray vs Yudi Gang's already fought. Spencer has fought Sokpapi and Williams. Jarvis have fought Gib. Sokpapi has fought Slim. There's, like I say, been multiple different matchups that we've seen where we've had different guys fighting each other. And I suppose, it's nice to see that Misfits is always willing to take fighters back, even if they don't win. If they put on entertaining performances, they're willing to have them back. And Pineda versus Swarms are typically always in entertaining fights, even if they aren't always winning. I'm going to say that Pineda's going to win this one. I think he has improved a lot. I think when he first fought KSI, he looked terrible, really. He looked like he wasn't really too sure how to throw punches properly. And, he looked like a typical journeyman type fighter. It was interesting to see him even come in the first place. But he's found his position, he's found his spot. That's what Misfits offers, which is, entertaining. And, you have to be entertaining. And if you are, like I mentioned, you are going to get kept. And Pineda always has been, and I believe he will be. And I believe this will be quite a good fight. I think Pineda probably will end up stopping Swarms, but yeah, I think it's a fight in which, like I say, it's about time to happen. Moving on to Demore versus Kells, we've just seen in the press conference it kind of all kick off between the two of them when I'm recording this, and yeah, I didn't realise there was much of a disliking between the two of them, but it all seemed to kick off. Demore is coming off a fight on like one of them kind of Qatar cards or UAE cards. There's been a few fighters that are coming off them shows that have had like little low key wins. I mean, Jarvis I think had one as well. Williams, like I say, Salt Pappy as well. They've all been coming off these cards, and the crypto shows. I don't necessarily know if the Demore one was that or not. I know it was streamed by Fuzi on Kick, but that's all I know. Demore versus Kells. I'm going to go over Kells' win. Kells is coming off quite a destructive stoppage in his last performance. He didn't look amazing. He looked like he was having trouble at times, but he got a very big knockout, and he shows he has a lot of power in his punches. Demure has power as well, but I think he has improved a little bit, but he still is very poor, in my opinion. He also keeps punching fighters on the ground, which again is what he did in his last performance. So, as long as he didn't do that, then I'm happy. And I think, like I say, Kells is going to win. Moving on to Cray versus Yodi Yang, their rematch. This is technically their third time fighting. Obviously, when they fought the first time, there was the whole kind of SWAT team incident where they had to kind of just call the fight. But this is the lightweight tournament final now, and it's interesting to see how we are just seeing them again. I'm sure they're kind of bored of fighting each other, to be completely honest. Yudi Gang in their first original fight got the decision win, and Craig since then has gone on and fought Joey Knight and got a very good win there, and which was a surprising win. I'm sure going into that fight, Joey Knight was the clear favourite. He was somebody who had a lot of momentum and was performing well and was getting big stoppages, but Craig did very well to get a win there. I think Craig is going to win in this rematch. I think he's going to make Yuri Gang question himself. I think if he lets his hands go in front of Yuri Gang, then he's going to have success. I think Yuri Gang isn't a bad fighter. He gets behind his jab well, and he does move well, but I think Craig is able to tie him up and able to have success in close against him. And I think if you can get in close versus Yuri Gang, then you can have success. And I believe that's what Craig is going to do. I think it's probably going to be another close fight between the two of them, but inevitably, I think Craig is going to win, go on to win the lightweight tournament, and then I don't necessarily know if he's gonna then certainly fight Dean or not. I'm not too sure, or if he fights Valid Sharks, I'm not too sure. But nonetheless, it's gonna propel him on, and it's nice to see realistically after the loss that he is able to, like I say, get back into it again. Moving on to now Nick Lamau versus Spencer. This is an interesting fight. I mean, obviously it was meant to be Nick Lamau versus Swingler 2. That fight's been rearranged, I think, twice now. There was that whole kind of thing where they faced off in the ring after one fight. I can't remember what fight, and Swingler just kind of kicked off and just went crazy after being quite respectful from the start off. But I suppose that's entertaining. And we were all kind of getting ready for that fight, getting hyped up again. Swingler seemingly has some sort of injury again, which is putting him out of it. So that's a bit of a shame, realistically. But we now have Nick Lamau versus Spencer. I'm going to go for a Nick Lamau win. Spencer has been stopped badly. He's had certain successes as well, but I think Nick Lamau isn't a bad fighter. I think he, can fight with his chin in the air quite a lot and is, not perfect, but he gets his rangy strikes going. I think he could perhaps put on a good contest versus Spencer. I mean, Spencer's a bit of a rangy fighter himself, and so, it might go into, like I say, an entertaining contest like the Nick Lamau versus Swingler one was. I think the Swingler one was just a bad stylistic matchup for him. I think Nick Lamau was, like I say, rangy, long, and wasn't really let letting Swingler kind of do the work in which he wanted to do. But Nick Lamau, I think he's not a bad fighter. I don't think he's as hyped up or as amazing in which certain guys have been hyping up to him to be. But like I say, I think he's going to win that fight, and I think he also won that. I don't even know what it's called. Misfits when it was Nick Lamau. Swarms was in it, Ben Williams was in it, and B Dave was in it when they all fought each other. I think he won that as well. So yeah, he's doing well. So yeah, I'm gonna say him to win. Moving on now to Jarvis versus Williams. This is in general two confident, skilled fighters. It's perhaps one of the best boxing matchups in which we have on this card. There's a few good boxing matchups. I think the main card is a good boxing matchup, but yeah, these are two guys who have been slowly progressing. You know, Jarvis came into the scene on that Austin McBroom undercard. Quite surprising how well he was performed, and you know he looked very good. Then he's gone down a bit of a route. He went down that route with Kingpin. He fought Gib. He didn't fight badly against Gib, but inevitably he did get slowed up by Gib into the later rounds and then just wasn't able to deal with him and manage against him. And then fought Speed Dave as well. And that was a bit of a disappointing fight. I mean, he starts quick, Jarvis typically, and he lands big shots quick typically as well. He did that versus Gib and he did that versus B Dave, but he does kind of slow up a bit as well. Williams, he's been progressing well as well. He went, I believe, on that bit of a Kingpin route as well, but I don't necessarily know if he actually fought on the shows. I can't remember, but it was, you know, he's been looking good. He's been getting some big wins, perhaps not on the level of opposition in which Jarvis has. Williams is coming off a win, I believe, against Dawood Savage in one of them crypto cards, which was a big stoppage win and, you know, a nice stoppage win. But, you know, Dawood Savage isn't really the best of opponents. But he also before then fought Bautista, which wasn't a great opponent either. I'm gonna go with Jarvis win. I think Jarvis is gonna, like I say, if he gets in close, I think he can work well. If he doesn't tire or gas himself out, if it goes into later rounds, I think Williams hasn't had to deal with that kind of level of opposition as of yet, and I'm not too sure if he does. I think he keeps his chin in the air quite a lot as well. He's a very much a one-dimensional fighter in my opinion, and I think Jarvis is going to be able to exploit that. I don't think Jarvis is incredible, and perhaps I think they're both a bit overhyped, but I think Jarvis is, like I say, going to win this fight. Then moving on to Deji versus Savage. Like I say, Dawood Savage really isn't the best of fighters, and he's coming off multiple losses, 5 I believe, on these kind of crypto cards, and he seems to be always fighting out in Qatar against, you know, like I say, he fought Williams, he fought Salt Papi as well. He got stopped badly versus both of them. He's always seemingly hurt. Deji, though, it's a comeback fight realistically for him. He hasn't fought in a while. Last time he fought was out against Swarms, which was a good performance. It wasn't a crazy performance, a crazy fight. He just kind of kept to his boxing, knew he could outbox Swarms, and he did that efficiently. And this is an interesting fight now versus Savage, I suppose. I think Deji's going to win comfortably. I think Savage is awful. I think, you know, he got knocked out versus Ben Williams, and then I saw he made a video, and he was like, I was so grateful to getting knocked out. I've always wanted to experience what that feels like, and I'm thankful that it happened. I don't necessarily know why he made that video, but you know, nonetheless, I think Deji's going to win comfortably. I think it's going to be an easy cruising performance where, you know, Deji's just going to probably look quite good. He could probably win at stoppage at any point. He's not even a big puncher, but I still think he could win by stoppage at any point. And perhaps this is a way to get a first kind of stoppage win for Deji on the books. Or no, actually no, I think he stopped Fuzi, so you know, another one on the books, I suppose. Moving on to Tiki Toki versus Warrior. This is an interesting fight, which perhaps has gone under the radar a little bit. I mean, Tiki Toki is a big name for Misfits to have, and when this fight got announced, nobody really talked about it too much. I mean, Warrior hasn't actually fought in boxing. I think it's smart matchmaking from Misfits to put these two against each other. Tiki Toki is not a crazy good boxer. You know, he's not really that proven of a boxer yet, and I think he has to improve a lot. But I think there perhaps is the potential there, and Misfits doesn't want to throw him in with somebody too crazy because they probably believe that he is a big star and is somebody who, if they build right, is somebody who is able or going to be able to main event fights and things like that. So they're waiting and picking opponents. Warrior is a big kind of gym influencer who I believe was on Love Island. I've seen a bit of him on the bag and stuff like that. I really don't think he looks excellent. I think Tiki Toki's going to win. You know, I don't think Tiki Toki looks excellent, and I'm sure if he goes into later rounds, he probably will gas out. But like I say, I think it is smart matchmaking, and he probably is going to be able to get a stoppage if he lands clean against Warrior. And yeah, I think, like I say, it's good, smart matchmaking, and Misfits know what they're doing. But it's still a big name, another big name to have on the card. I mean, realistically, there are quite a lot of big names on this card. Moving on to Salt Pappy versus Kenny, a very good fight as well. There are these good fights always around in this weight division, or in in and around these weight divisions for quite a few of these fighters. I mean, Salt Pappy's been in quite a few good contests, especially in recent times. This one versus Slim was a good contest. He was winning that fight, and he wasn't looking too bad, but then he got hurt quite badly. That may have affected him a bit. He then went on to fight. Uh, I forgot the guy's name. It was a Polish guy, and he looked all right against him. He managed to get a stoppage. It was a strange fight, but he looked all right. And then Kenny is coming off a big win. I can't against Brocker, I believe the guy's name was, and that was a stoppage win as well. I think Kenny's going to win this one. I think Salt Pappy, had a lot of momentum. I think did get showed up a bit in on the big stage versus Slim. Obviously, that was the KSI versus Fury in the card. It's a big stage to be on, like I'm saying. And like I say, I think Salt Pappy got showed up a bit. I still don't think he's bad. I think he's put on a bit of weight again. I think Kenny isn't going to be a bad fighter at all. I think he's going to look successful. He's going to be successful and he's going to look good. I think he's going to pick shots and Salt Pappy's going to back up. And Kenny, possibly if he lands big, Kenny's a bit inconsistent at times of what version we're going to get of Kenny, but I believe he's going to win. If we get the version that we saw versus Nunes, that was an excellent version. Obviously, Nunes hasn't kind of aged well since then, but I think Kenny's going to win this one. And then, that puts him right into contention with some big names as well. Possibly even the winner of Gib versus Slim. We'll have to wait and see. But going on to that main event, obviously, Gib versus Slim. It's a great fight to be made. It's a fight in which Misfits. This is the type of fights that should have been made, and perhaps it could have been made a little bit sooner. But Gib, we never really knew what was going on with Gib. It's finally him coming to Misfits. We've been waiting for him to come to Misfits for quite a long time now, and like I say, it's about time that we see him at Misfits and fighting. And in general, we haven't seen either of these two guys fight for a long time, and it's nice to see that we see them both fighting. Gib is coming off that win versus Jarvis, I believe, was that last performance. So like I said, that wasn't a bad win. That was a pretty good win, but it was a while ago now. And like I mentioned, it's been about a year since we've seen both of them. Slim's coming off that win versus Salt Pappy, which was a good win, but like I said, he was losing that fight. It's weird to see what's going on with KSI for this thing. I don't necessarily know if he's just trying to promote the fight and hype up the fight some more by getting involved in it as much as he is, but he's seemingly very much going towards Slim to win. He's really pushing Slim to win. I'm not too sure as to why. He's kind of gotten involved in saying that the sparring between Gib and KSI wasn't even close. KSI won and everything like that. Now KSI is going back and forth with Gib's coaches and everything like that. So it's a bit weird, but that doesn't really matter either. Going into this fight, it's between the two of these. Gib, I think, is going to win via TKO in round 3. I think Slim is going to struggle if Gib can break him down, wear him down, and get up in close and get all up in his business and start digging to the body and start really digging shots in, clubbing in some big heavy shots. I think Slim's going to struggle, and I think even if Slim lands one of his big shots, I think he's not going to land heavy enough to be able to stop Gib the way that he stopped Salt Pappy. I think it was just a bit of a flush shot that tested Salt Pappy's chin, and I don't necessarily know how good Salt Pappy's chin is. I think Gib's chin is good, and he can take a shot, and is going to be able to keep coming forwards even if he does take shots. And like I say, I think he's going to win via TKO in round 3. Then who he could go on to fight next? KSI obviously is probably the name in which we will see. I mean, KSI was, like I say, meant to fight Slim and Taylor at the same time, and obviously that didn't happen. So KSI as a fight that could happen. Gib is coming to take over Misfits from what he's saying. He's seemingly very eager to kind of break down and complete another promotion as he's on to his third promotion now. So that could happen. That would not surprise me. Maybe that's the narrative in which they're trying to build. If not Taylor, that could be a fight. Perhaps that would be a fight. I don't necessarily know how keen Gib would be to fight Taylor, but you never know. Or something like a Logan Paul. I mean, Logan Paul is probably massive compared to Gib. I don't necessarily know what the weight difference would be between the two of them. I just don't see Gib fighting Jake Paul. Logan Paul possibly would fight Gib. I'm not necessarily too sure. I would have to see what kind of numbers this fight between Gib and Slim gets, because I think Logan Paul's probably only too bothered about the numbers. Now he has a kid and everything like that. I'm sure he's not too bothered about getting back involved in Misfits, but you never know. That could happen. But it wouldn't surprise me if it's Gib versus KSI or Slim versus KSI if he wins next. But yeah, that's it for today's video. Hope you did enjoy. Like the video if you did, leave like this, subscribe if you are new, and thanks for watching.